sure that I'm sincere. This year I'm in here, I'll spell it out to make things clear. And meanwhile you're in sneer, I've got a lane and I'm in gear.
And I'm tall, I'm 5'6" on my block, I'm the toughest kid, but I got way bigger fish to fry, which is why I'm trying to get this fish to fly off. The man on the right for this to fly with this guy in a pie box. He's always looking for cash, looking like I
What's happening, guys? Welcome to the video. This has been one of the most popularly requested videos, and it is a full breakdown of my training split and basically explaining why I have things structured the way I do, why I'm doing certain exercises and all that good stuff. So let's dive into that now. You saw at the beginning of the video some footage from yesterday's leg session, which was really good. Everything felt great yesterday. Saw progression on pretty much all my lifts, and I've kind of rejigged things around a little bit to, I guess, feel things a bit more versus just moving weight for the sake of moving weight. And that's something that for my lower body for sure I've seen pay off. I get in the habit of just chasing numbers and trying to progress, and that's great, but that comes at the expense of my joints. My hips get tight, my knees get sore, so I've dialed things back a little bit. So what you saw me do yesterday, weight-wise, might look a little bit lighter than maybe what you've seen in previous videos, but that's the reason behind that. So let's get into the training split breakdown. So the first thing that needs to be into consideration when it comes to creating a program, designing some kind of training split, is your goals. What are you trying to accomplish with that training split? And if you don't have concrete goals, then it's pretty hard to figure out a training split that is going to be optimal for you if you don't know exactly what you're shooting for. So for me, when we look at my goals, the big one is setting me up for success in 2022. So the goal of turning pro within natural bodybuilding in 2022 is at the forefront of everything. And then down from that, we look at, okay, so we need to progress everything. My entire physique needs to improve for sure. I'm definitely not anywhere near I want to be. And to be competitive as a professional natural bodybuilder, everything needs to improve. But within that, my posterior chain needs a little bit more attention than, say the front of my body. So when you look at your physique as a whole, your posterior chain, so that's everything behind you. So for me, you work your way down. So you start with your traps, your rear delts, your lats, your lower back, your mid back, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves. So that's your posterior chain. So in speaking with the coach that I'm working with, Cliff Wilson, we determined that those muscle groups need a little bit more attention than, the muscle groups in the front of my body. So my chest, my quads, my shoulders, those are pretty decently developed, but in comparison to my posterior chain, the muscle groups in those areas, they need a little bit more work. So that's where you're gonna see gets more attention than other muscle groups. So those are the goals. So when it comes to designing my split, we take those goals into consideration and we say, okay, how can we design something that's gonna get those goals checked off? So right now, this is the split I'm running. So I break it down into the week. Some people do like a rotating split where it's 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, for example, and that continues to rotate over time. I myself right now am just following a pretty standard split that each day is the same workout, right? So every Tuesday is the same workout, every Wednesday is the same workout, and that just continues on over time. Whereas some, like I mentioned, rotate through. So what you do on Tuesday, the next week might be on Wednesday, and so on and so on. I find for myself, schedule-wise, that's a little bit of a challenge. So I like to just stick with the same thing week after week. So kicking off the week, Monday's a rest day. Tuesday is pull and arms. So obviously biceps and triceps, and then pull is basically your back, your rear delts, traps, those muscle groups that are involved in pulling movements. Wednesday is legs, my first leg workout of the week. Thursday is rest. Then we've got chest and arms on Friday. So again, biceps and triceps here, biceps and triceps there. Saturday we have back and shoulders, and then Sunday we have legs again. So the first thing I want you to note is where the rest days are positioned. after every leg day. So legs for me is always the most taxing workout. It's always the most physically demanding session. So after those workouts, I need a rest day. I've tried to do sessions after it. I used to do like an optional arm day. Before I switched to this program, I was doing like an optional arm day. And some days I would be okay with it, but most of the time I was just so exhausted that the last thing I really wanted to do was train. So I position rest days after leg days to let my body recover and recoup myself for, the following day's session. Pull here and back here. So back basically is getting hit twice a week. Again, coming back to our goals, we have posterior chain getting a majority of a focus, which is why we have back twice a week and in turn legs twice a week as well. Arms right now are getting a little bit more attention than they used to for me. There have been a muscle group I want to bring up. It was just trying to figure out how I was going to structure it. So I've decided to tack on arms at the end of chest and back on those sessions. Right now it's just 3 different supersets. So 3 exercises for bicep, 3 for tricep, and then a bicep tricep superset, a couple sets there, bicep tricep superset, a couple sets, and so on. So that's what I'm doing for arms, and I feel like visually it's starting to pay off. So I'm excited to see, what that continues to do over the next year, basically. Chest, once a week, because it's a strong, dominant muscle group, not only like strength-wise, but also from a physique perspective, my chest is good. So I only hit chest once a week there. I only do 3 exercises, a couple sets each. That's it for chest. Same with shoulders. Shoulders, I think could be more developed, but physique-wise, they're not overly, weak. I think they're kind of at a reasonable level for now. So right now with posterior chain being more of a focus, it's hard to put a ton of emphasis on other areas. So shoulders is there with back, but they do get quite a bit of volume on that session. I think it's 4 exercises off the top of my head and 2 to 3 sets each. So that is the full split. Okay, so this is what I follow week by week. What I was doing before this was very similar, except I think I did like a push. So chest, shoulders, triceps for this session. Back and shoulders was the same. And then pull, I wasn't doing arms as much. So really the only kind of biggest change would be shifting these 2 sessions, the arms and the shoulders around a little bit. So then we look at the splits, we've got our goals, we create a split based on that, and then the question or answer is, how do I put this? Why is this structured the way it is? So when we talk about the rest days, like I mentioned earlier, the recovery capabilities. So for me, 5 days a week is more than enough for my training style and the way I train, how my body recovers. Some people can get away with more than that. Some people might need less than that. But for myself, 5 days a week is plenty, and having the 2 rest days where I really rest, I focus on, stretching and, letting my body recover is important. Focusing on the weak points. So again, this is structured in a way that my posterior chain is priority, getting a little bit of extra arm work in there. Strength progression, that comes in with the recovery aspect of it and having the 2 rest days and having things split. So, we're not interfering with stuff. So for myself, if I was to do legs and then try to do back right after, it would probably be not a very good time because I would be so fatigued from the leg session. And then at the end of the day, it's enjoyable. You need to find a program that's, yes, going to get you to your goals, but also is going to get you to them in a manner that you like and can follow. So this is something that I like doing. It's structured in a way that I enjoy. I'm excited for the sessions. I feel good when I do them, and that means I'm going to stick to it long term. And that needs to be for everybody that's watching this. Whatever your goals are, you need to create something that's going to be enjoyable and something that you will be able to stick to long term, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it, which in turn means you're not going to get results. And then it's just a vicious circle of not enjoying it, not getting results, not enjoying it, not getting results. And then you don't get results, so you don't want to do it. And it just snowballs from there. So this, as much as I'd like to say goals are important, at the end of the day, it needs to be as enjoyable too, so you can stick to it and follow it and get results. Then I want to talk about progression. So progressive overload is kind of one of the main drivers of hypertrophy, right? So developing, size, for me as a physique athlete, that's important, and creating this kind of overall complete physique, I need to progress. If I do the same workouts over and over again, the same weight, the same sets, I'm not going to develop. My body's just going to stay where it is, which is obviously not the goal. So For each session, I have 1 to 2 main movements that I focus on to try to drive numbers up and get very much stronger at. They're big compound movements. They're kind of your bread and butter movements that hit multiple muscle groups that you can move a lot of weight on. So for example, a squat over a leg extension. A squat is going to have so much more carryover to developing, you know, your entire lower body than a leg extension. A leg extension, isolation movement for your quads, whereas a squat, you're going to hit your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back to an extent. Everything's going to be engaged and working with a squat, and you can move so much more load. So for example, on the pull, we have a deadlift and a pull down variation. So those are my 2 movements there. On this leg workout, it is a plate loaded squat and hack squat. Chest is an incline barbell press and a flat dumbbell press. On this back, it's a chest supported T-bar row and another pull down. And then on this leg workout, it's a leg press and a lunge. So those are the main compound movements, and then you have accessory stuff after that. Right now, most of my main compounds are 1 to 2 sets each, typically with a top and a back offset approach, which means one set is a little bit heavier in a lower rep range. For example, I usually go 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 8. And then the back offset is a lighter weight for a little bit higher rep range, somewhere probably 10 to 12 for myself. So that's how I structure things. The only, I guess, side note to that is on this day, on my pull and arms day, I do deadlift, but I only do 1 set, and that comes with talking about recovery capabilities. I like to deadlift. I think it has a lot of carryover for myself, for my physique. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm strong at it, so I wanted to put it in there, but I found basically anything more than 1 really all-out set, I was overly fatigued from and wasn't recovering, which is not good because we have legs the next day. So I'm only doing 1 set of deadlifts, and it's in the 4 to 6 rep range, and that's it. So that's kind of the only other little side note for that. Again, like I mentioned, focus on progressive overload and strength development. So these movements are the movements I want to get really strong at. You know, your deadlifts, your presses, you know, your squatting movements, leg press, all that stuff that you can move a lot of weight around and really, you know, tax your body and create that stimulus for your muscles to then in turn grow from. And then when it comes to progressing over time, rotating movements out when they stall, or just switching things up from like a rep scheme perspective. So this is something I will stick to for a very long time. I think people get too antsy about wanting to change things too quickly, and they follow like an 8-week plan, and then after the 8 weeks they want to do something completely different, which is not always a good thing because you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot as far as like long-term progression. Up until I made this switch, I was following the same plan since August. So that was basically August, September, October, November, December. So basically 5 months I was following the same program. And then I've literally only switched out some small things. The split is basically the same. And movement wise, I'm sticking with a lot of the same stuff, but there's been a few things that I've switched up. One off the top of my head is the barbell press. I was finding going too heavy on that with a lower rep range was really bugging my shoulder and my pec. So I just kept the movement in, but increased the rep range a little bit and decreased the load a little bit, and that's been a night and day difference. So I was able to keep the movement in, but I just switched that small little variable up, and now we're good. So when it comes to when to move movements out, I would say run them as long as you can and really progress. You know, if you can add 5 pounds to the bar per week, so a 2.5 on each side, and you can do that for months and months and months, like you're gonna see good change in your physique and in your progress in the gym. But eventually that will stall, and that's when you need to look at, okay, do I need to switch the movement out, or could I do something simple with keeping the rep range a little bit different? Because, you know, for myself, I wanted to keep barbell pressing, but I just need to figure out how I could do it safely and effectively for me. So that was just something little that I could do. And yeah, this is the bulk of how I look at things with myself, with my clients, and it's just understanding that progress is long-term. It takes time, and it's going to take, you know, consistency over that time and really focusing on progression and getting where you want to go in a certain amount of time. Okay, so I know I have basically a year, 2022. I have plans for the stage, so 2021, I'm focused on really nailing this stuff and recovery and nutrition, and the rest will just fall into place. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I figure this was kind of the easiest way for me to explain things and give you guys kind of a visual to follow along. But yeah, this is it, man. This is what I do right now. And this is why I do it the way I do. If you have any questions, be sure to comment below or hit me up on Instagram. It's at Leroy_Rollins_fitness. If you have any questions about this or any advice you want from me as far as what maybe you should do, then by all means ask. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like the channel, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.